Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got JC here in just a minute. We're going to have Pat Dooley here, get his thoughts on, I think this is Pat's first year. I can't remember if he was retired last year during the pandemic of the season or if this is his first year. Was he retired last year?
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was in. But you know what? Maybe for some of the season, you'll have to ask him. Maybe for some of the season, he was still in action. But I do know that last year, I think was it. He retired.
JC, you look like Mr. Two Bits today.
Well, it's the day before game day, and I've got a son at the University of Florida who's a senior on the campus, and I drove through campus just the other day. The place is bustling, and there's lots of kids everywhere, and I think we're going to have a big day tomorrow. The weather looks good, and I think everybody's going to be ready to watch. Florida's got two nice warm-ups before the Alabama game. And when I watched that South Florida team for about 10 minutes last night, I thought to myself, why are they even bothering? What is the point of this?
What a bad football team they are. They are so bad.
God, how did they get so bad? Last year they were horrible, and it doesn't look like anything's changed. So looking at that team play, it makes me think that, Florida can just name the score next week, pretty much like tomorrow.
That's one of the worst. I probably watched 15, 20 plays that game.
All right.
They're one of the worst college football teams I've seen in a long time.
Oh, gosh, were they pathetic. And so that was about 10 minutes of my night last night, QB. But I tell you, there were two games last night that I think really kept my interest and that were fun to watch. And I certainly believe that Ohio State's going to have to work a lot harder than maybe they've had in the past to win this conference this year. I thought Minnesota showed some things that other schools are going to be able to take advantage of on Ohio State. Starting a freshman quarterback, I think the kid played okay. He didn't lose them the game. So, they were down in the third quarter and then just kind of hit the switch and pulled away from Minnesota, a veteran Minnesota team. But I didn't have any doubt they were going to score. You and I pushed that game. We both took Ohio State laying the 14, and that's how it ended up at 14 points. But the game that I guess was the most intriguing or interesting was certainly the way it ended was Central Florida coming back from 21 points
I went
down.
I went to bed at halftime, so I have no idea how it ended.
Yeah, they were getting hammered. I mean, they were getting beat up.
I saw that.
Good.
Well, here's what's crazy about football, sports.
Yeah.
UCF takes the opening drive and drives it right. No, they go 3 and out. Boise does. Then they drive the ball down their throat. They run a RPO. Dylan Gabriel just underthrows a wide open guy in the end zone.
Yeah,
he runs it back for a touchdown, and the momentum just shifted immediately. But
it really did.
I don't know how UCF came back. Like I said, I went to sleep for that game. But it obviously was very entertaining.
It was very entertaining, and Central Florida came back. I mean, you're down 21 points. You've had a 3-hour delay to get the game started. Give a lot of credit to Gus and having those kids. They stayed in it. They didn't give up. And when you're down 21 points to a team like Boise, it is a tough battle to come back. But they did. They pulled it out in the fourth quarter. And again, down 21 points. To be able to come back and win that game for the home fans that stuck around was impressive. And, a lot of the conversation during that game was, okay, where will Central Florida end up? And there's already word that the Big 12 is already starting to talk to Houston or will about expansion talk to Houston. Central Florida is in a group of about 4 or 5 or 6 other teams that could end up as a Big 12 team. But Central Florida pulls out a huge win. Boise State, new coach, Andy Avalos, I think is his name. And certainly I think they are feeling it as they travel a long way home thinking that they probably had a game in their hands and they couldn't hold on to win it, and it was surprising to me. I didn't think UCF could come back and win, but they did. They won it. Good for them. They scored 16 points in the third period to outscore Boise State 16-zip after being down 24-14 at halftime, and they were down 21-0 in the first period. So, or not in the first half. So, yeah, good comeback win for those Knights, and they'll play Bethune-Cookman, get another win next week, and the season will start to evolve and develop for UCF. So happy to see that. I was rooting for them.
I want to go back to the Ohio State game.
Okay.
They won't have one game that's competitive in the Big Ten this year, in my opinion. They have way too much talent. Way too much talent.
Well, the last night was somewhat competitive.
Well, it's because it's the first game of the year, JC, and Minnesota had a game plan to run the football, milk the clock. Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing about Ohio State. Ohio State's quarterback is what every college coach wants these days. Not a consistent kid, but a guy who has big play potential at any moment. And that's what Ohio State is. They're not going to be consistent, but they are going to have explosive plays that break a game wide open. And they got probably the two best receivers in America.
Yeah,
their offensive line is huge. They got the number one running back in America, that freshman that came out of high school last year. I mean, I'm not an Ohio State guy, but just my eyes told me last night there ain't going to be one game that's very competitive for them in the Big Ten.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go there. I think there will be some competitive games for them. I do think that you can score on them. I agree with you offensively. They're going to be hard to deal with. They're going to be hard to stop. That player, that freshman, Henderson, I think's his name, can just motor. But listen, they play Oregon next week. They play Oregon next week. That will be a good test for them. They also have to play at Indiana and Penn State.
Like I said, no game in the Big Ten is going to be competitive.
I think Penn State and Indiana will be closer.
They just have way too much explosive ability, man. I mean,
they will score a lot. They'll score a lot, but I think you watch Oregon score a bunch of points on them next week. You watch that.
Well, they might. I mean, I'm not buying into any team out of the Pac-12 until they actually show me something on TV.
You'll see it tomorrow. You're going to see it tomorrow, QB.
Why is that? What makes you think Oregon's that great?
I think UCLA is going to give LSU a hard
I think that is a bloodbath.
Well, I don't see it. I can't see it.
Okay, can I ask you about watching UCLA? What made you think they're a good football team against Hawaii?
It's not so much comparing UCLA and Hawaii, because, as you know, every game is different, and I don't really think UCLA showed us a whole lot in that game. I think that UCLA just got through that game. I think LSU's had a lot of distractions this last week and a half. I think it's a tough trip to take. I am pretty sure that every time we've seen a team go out to UCLA at the early part of the season, they've had problems. Back in the early 2000s, Alabama was favored by 3 touchdowns. They got blown out. Tennessee went there with Phil Fulmer, got beat up pretty good. I think this is one of those trips that, because of the hurricane, because LSU's had to move their entire outfit to Houston, Texas, because kids have family back home in Louisiana, I think there's just been a lot of distractions. And listen, LSU, Brad Johnson, I don't know, his kid Johnson.
I don't think he's going to have to do a whole lot. He's not going to do a whole lot.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think UCLA is going to score a lot of points.
UCLA's quarterback is going to limit them. You got to complete passes, JC, in football.
Well, you know what, QB, the good news for you is that, well, you haven't gotten a win yet. You went 0-2-2 so far. And I went.
What are you talking about?
2-0-2 on our picks. So
right, and the two games you won, you didn't even care. You just said, "I'll just take those teams." So don't act like you knew who you were talking
about. I won. You lost. You took USF.
I'm 3-4 on the year. You're 5-2. Who cares? But my point is,
4-2, and I'm 5.
So you're going to take UCLA against LSU.
You just might find out. You might. You're about to find out.
Yeah.
And, look, you can.
Let me tell you another bad football team I saw last night, for the Tennessee Volunteers. Oh, well, their quarterback can't play dead in a Western. I mean, he ain't real good at all. And if they want to have the year they want to have, they better switch quarterbacks right now. I'm telling you. He cannot play.
You're telling me?
Yep, he cannot play.
QB, we always have this tendency after the first game to kind of overreact to the way things are. And I'm not
he
gonna.
couldn't
I'm
play at
not gonna get
Michigan.
a.
He couldn't play at Michigan, and he can't play at Tennessee. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I got more confidence in Josh Heupel than you do, and certainly,
I'm just telling you,
a
Josh Heupel better
38-6
change his quarterback right now.
A 38-6 win over Bowling Green is not
It was
something
the
that's
worst
going to
team
get
in
you.
America. I tell you this right now. If
I
Bowling
thought you
Green
just
and
said South Florida
played,
was
I
the
don't know
worst
who would
team.
score. If Bowling
Well,
Green and South
listen.
Florida were on the schedule, it'd be a 0-0 tie, probably.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Look, I'm 5-2-2. You're 3-4-2, and we'll do some more picks today if you.
Well, nobody keeps the ties, JC. I'm 3-4. You're 5-2.
Okay. Well,
All right, here we go.
That's
Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This September, mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking of JC, we have Pat Dooley here shortly. You really you thought Tennessee looked good?
I didn't make much out of that, QB. I don't get much out of these games. Bowling Green. Those are the games that you like to watch. I don't really care.
I didn't watch a lot of it because I couldn't because I knew how bad Bowling Green was, like the worst team in Division I football last year, and they are still awful. But Tennessee, I feel like Tennessee's got good skill guys. I just don't think their quarterback can play a lick. I don't think he can play at all.
Okay,
his fundamentals are terrible.
That Josh Heupel. I got confidence in Josh Heupel. I do. I think they're going to be better. They're more competitive. I'm not saying they're going to win the SEC.
He's got quarterbacks on his roster that are better than that guy that have played college football. So I'm telling you right now, he will make a quarterback change for long.
All right, you ready to do some picks, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, we can do our Peachland Dentistry. Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at Peachland Dental. And we're going to do our Peachland Dental. So you're going to pick the games. I'll keep track because you're not very good at that.
What are you talking about? I kept track. I'm up on you already.
Well, in week 4, you will lose your notepad or something. The dog will eat it.
All right. Well, we're going to start with tonight's game that I think is the only one that truly has much of us interested in, because I'm not going to count Northwestern Michigan State, but I do think North Carolina laying 6 to Virginia Tech is interesting, and I'm going to take Virginia Tech at home getting 6 points.
Okay, I'll take North Carolina.
You're going to take see, I knew that too. I knew you were going to take North Carolina, and that's just great. Okay, we go into tomorrow's games, and let's just go ahead and pick that game that you and I argued about just a minute ago. I'm going to take let's see, LSU is laying 2.5 points. So for a team that's supposed to blow somebody out, QB, Vegas doesn't agree with you. So
Vegas agrees with what you said. They're going on the road to the West Coast. They're going through a lot of adversity. They are clearly the better football team. It's not even close.
We're going to find out tomorrow.
Yep.
And that's how we'll know who wins. So I guess you're going to take LSU -2.5.
Yeah, right. I am. I think it's a bloodbath.
It's a rout, huh? Well, guess what? I'm going to take LSU -2.5 also.
Yeah, they're going to be a blood. I'm telling you right now, too many athletes going to be wearing those gold pants. They ain't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with you. I do think it'll be a close game. Okay, we'll go straight to I think the biggest the game between the two closest ranked teams, the one that I think has the most intrigue in terms of this is a rivalry game. It's always been a game that these two schools have liked playing. The fan bases love playing against each other. And I was on Georgia earlier in this week, but I'm changing my mind, and I'm going to take Clemson laying 3.
All right, I'm going to take the Dogs because I just keep picturing.
Because you pick every SEC team that plays.
No, I love Clemson. I love what Dabo does there, but I keep picturing in my mind and seeing how poor late in the year Clemson's interior defense up the middle was. And people attacked it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they've added some players there. I don't know. But until then, I'm going to take Georgia. I just think they got the better players right now.
Well, you are also getting 3 points. So that's but I just think Clemson's quarterback is going to show us a special season. I think it starts tonight. And I'm not sure yet about that. I mean, everybody thinks Daniels is going to be the best quarterback in the conference. I haven't seen him beat one team with a winning record yet.
Well, he may not have to do a whole lot tonight. We don't really know. Time will tell.
I think he will. If he's going to beat Clemson, he's going to have to do something. So I'll take Clemson laying the 3. You've got Georgia. I changed my mind. I was going to take Georgia this week. They've got some injury issues. I'm not yet sold on Daniels. I know he's good, but I'm not sure he's better than this guy from Clemson. I think this guy from Clemson could be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I really do. So give me Clemson laying 3. All right, next game there, QB, is a game that I think is such a trap game, and it's Louisiana against Texas. Louisiana is getting 8.5 points against the Longhorns and Steve Sarkisian. This is his debut. I'm taking the dog here. Levi Lewis and his boys. Now, Texas is going to score a lot of points. Really, the play should be the over in this game. It's 58 points. That would be the way I would play it if I was betting this game. I would take the over all day long. But Texas is laying 8.5. I'm going to take Louisiana. It's going to be a closer game than that, but I think Texas will win. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. This is one of those games where Louisiana looks really good. I like them. I do know that Texas is not great at the wide receiver position this year. Their defense ain't real good right now. It's going to take him a few years to get recruits in there. I'll take the Raging Cajuns. I think they may win the game.
Wow. Okay. So we've got that as the same pick there. All right, Alabama. I told you last year I'd never pick against them because all they did was blow out everybody's. But this is not the Alabama offense that we saw last year. At least I don't think it is. I'm not expecting it to be. They are laying they are laying so many points. What do you think why is that, QB? Why would you give Miami 19.5 points when they're starting a quarterback that's got a lot of experience, much more so than Alabama's? What is this all about, 19.5 points?
Well, you got a team that doesn't lose very often, that buries people year in and year out, and Miami usually gets blown out when they play good teams like Alabama and Clemson and those type of teams. Because De'Aaron King has experience, he's going to have to throw the football. He's not a good enough passer to you. I mean, this game, this could be a 35-6 type game, in my opinion. Because I don't know how good Miami is. I think this is a game. Shoot, you're crazy not to take Alabama until Alabama actually goes out and proves something. I don't know how good Alabama is going to be on offense. They lost a ton of talent, but
they lost everybody.
I mean, can Miami move the football? Is my question.
Right, and Alabama's defense is projected to be a much better. Well, not that they were bad last year; they weren't, but they're going to actually be better than last year's. Is what the thought is. So you're taking Alabama minus 19.5. Two more quick ones. Penn State.
Who are you taking?
Well, I'm taking Alabama. I can't vote against. Remember, I told you last year, every time I picked against Alabama and I lost, I'm not doing that anymore until I see what this team's got. So give me Alabama laying 19.5. I hate laying those points, though. I hate it. Penn State getting 5.5 at Whiskey.
I like the Badgers at home.
Okay, I'm going to take Penn State getting 5.5 because I walked on that campus, the land of the Nittany Lion.
That's a good reason to take them.
It will be if they win. If they don't, then I will look like a buffoon. All right, final one is, of course, the game we have here in Gainesville, QB, and I don't think I'm missing anything else on the schedule. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You've got Louisville playing Ole Miss on Monday. Oh, let's do the Notre Dame game. Let's do Notre Dame, FSU, and then we'll take the Florida game. Florida State, Sunday, the only game really getting 7.5 points against Notre Dame, who's lost a lot of players, but ranked 9th. Wow, it's pretty high. Florida State getting 7.5. We don't know what Norvell's got, but they got to be better, right? Don't they have to be better? So I think I'm going to take them at home getting 7.5 with no idea what they're going to show us. But I'm not a Notre Dame guy. Never have believed in them. And so I'll take Florida State. I'm not sure they're worth a darn, but we'll see. They're getting 7.5.
I'm gonna go the other way. I don't know how good Notre Dame is, but I don't know. I know nothing about Florida State, and I just don't see how they can make that big of a jump. So they may keep it close, and I hope they do, just for us, for entertainment value. But
Okay.
I don't know what Notre Dame has. I hate Notre Dame, but I just think Florida State stinks.
They do. All right. Well, we'll see how bad they are. I mean, do they win more than 5 games this year, QB? Will they win 6?
Florida State?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at their schedule, but I think we talked about this. I don't know. I don't know if they can, honestly. I mean, you think they're better than NC State? Although NC State is hard to tell because they play a horrible South Florida team. Yeah,
I think NC State's competitive. Look, I don't know. Nobody knows. Who knows? I mean, we just got to watch and see. 7.5, though, is a lot. That's a lot of points for a team at home. starting the season out. I'll take Florida State. They may really suck, but let's just go with that. And I think they will win more than 5 games this year. I think they'll win at least 6. Okay, let's go with the Florida Gators.
We got a game here I thought you would have on the board. Iowa, Indiana, one of your Big Ten favorites.
Let's do it. All right, well, it was. And, I think Indiana and Iowa are going to be competitive. I think Iowa does not play Ohio State this year. Indiana does. But Indiana has a quarterback coming off an ACL. Iowa's at home. Give me the Hawkeyes laying 3.5.
Well, I like the Hawkeyes too. I thought you were going to take Indiana.
Okay. All right. Then we go to Florida and FAU. FAU with this Perry kid. I don't know what he's going to be able to bring to the table. I tell you, if I had to pick this game in Vegas or somewhere, I'd be really prone to take the over 52 in this one. That's the total, 52 points. I think you're looking at a 45-21 game. That means that Florida covers by a half a point. They're laying 23.5. So I'll take the Gators. The score will be 45-21. That's over 50.
Okay, I got Florida winning the game 48-10.
Okay. 48-10.
People that I've talked to, this is about last year's FAU team, that they were horrendous on offense.
All right.
Maybe they'll be a little bit better. I just don't see them doing a whole lot.
All right.
And I think they'll score
for the Gators. They have scored. Florida always wins these season openers, and they've always had no problem winning these games against unranked teams. Florida at home usually is a sure thing on opening day. So regardless of who's playing, Florida has so many more players than this other school. So take the 23.5, throw it out there, lay it, and see if the Gators can score in the 40s. I think they will. I think they could even score in the 50s, because I just don't see how or why they wouldn't, even with the running tempo type of game that they're going to show us on offense this year. We'll give you the Gators. And you've got 48-10. I've got 45-21 on a late touchdown by FAU. There you go.
Late touchdown, huh? I'm thinking about that, watching that Tennessee quarterback last night, man.
Oh, you're still
he doesn't even fit. He doesn't even fit what Josh Heupel likes, and that's what I'm surprised. It's one of those, you get enamored with a guy who's 6'4", 6'5", 240, can throw it through a damn wall. That does you no good in live action. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So,
well,
he's got a couple of kids that have played Division I football that transferred in. One that came from Virginia Tech. That was a really good player, I thought, that would fit his system perfectly. But
you talking about Hooker?
Hooker, yeah.
Yeah, Hayden Hooker. Well, he threw one pass and completed it for 5 yards. I don't know.
He played?
He threw one pass. He threw one pass. This Milton kid he was 11 of 23 for 139. And
there's my point. There's my point. You don't even have to watch. You don't even have to watch. In today's football, if you don't complete over 60% of your passes, you don't need to be playing.
I think he's going to figure that out, QB. I think he's a really good coach.
It's great for this game. It's great for us because he just ain't a good enough thrower, man, to play in the SEC. I'm telling you.
That's kind of funny. I think when you look at the schedule, Tennessee and Florida, typically was that always it is. It's late September. I got to think Tennessee will be a little better by the time they get to Florida. They only play. I think next week they're going to have a hard time with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's coming in with some pretty good players, some seniors. That should be a game that will tell you more about what Tennessee and Heupel are going to be all about. Pittsburgh is going to be a tough team to beat for them.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh right now, and I don't know where they're playing or any of that stuff.
It's in Knoxville. It's in Knoxville, but that quarterback that Pittsburgh has, he's a real deal. I mean, he could be a Sunday player.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. JC, I saw some. You love doing win totals for the season, and since the season is cranking up, I'm going to run through these real quick. I'm curious of your thoughts on the win totals for the teams in the SEC.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to start in the SEC West. Over under. Okay. Alabama 11.5 wins.
Well, I'm trying to think. They 11.5. That means they have to go undefeated. So I'd be tempted to take the under just because there might be one or two games they slip up on.
Yeah, I like the under there. I think they lose to A&M. A&M over under 9.5 wins.
I would take over.
I would too.
Yeah.
LSU over or under 8.5 wins.
8.5. That means they win 9 if you go over. I'll take under there. LSU under 8.5.
I'm going to go over. Ole Miss over under
What's
7.5.
What's this? Why do you believe in LSU so much? What's the story with that?
Well,
Why?
I mean, I think they only have 3 hard games: A&M, Florida, and us. Other than that, they're going to roll right through the West, in my opinion.
No, they're Alabama. Come on.
I said Alabama, A&M, and Florida. That's 3.
No,
if they lose those 3 and they win the rest, they win 9.
Well, you said A&M. You said A&M, Florida, and us. So I didn't know what you meant by that. Okay, so
well, Florida and us, we're the same team.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we got under on Alabama. We got over on A&M. You've got over on LSU. I've got under on LSU 8.5. What's the other one?
Ole Miss 7.5.
Oh, wow. Ole Miss
that seems pretty high for them, don't you think?
It's about their defense because I think they're going to score. I'm going to take over. I think they win 8 this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to look at their schedule first before I can comment on that.
Well, just this, QB. They're going to play everybody in the West and, whatever in the East. They're going to play Vanderbilt in the East, I think, is who their permanent is.
See, I don't think they can't beat Alabama. They ain't going to be A&M. And LSU, I guess, could be a toss-up if they think Ole Miss is that good. I'm going to go ahead and give them a loss there. So that's 3.
Under? So you're taking under 7.5? Okay.
No, I'm talking about that's 3 losses. So they could. I don't know who all they're playing. Auburn at 7 wins. What do you think?
I'm going to go. Gosh, I think it's right at 7. I think that's a 7-5 team. That's what I'm going to say.
I'm right around there too. I don't have their schedule. What about Mississippi State at 6?
Over.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm just asking you here because I don't have their schedule. Arkansas at 5.5.
Over.
Yeah, I don't know who the heck they played. Okay, let's go to the East. Over under Georgia at 10.5.
They're going to lose tomorrow, so I've still got them winning 11 games, so I'll say over.
I like over too. Florida at 9.
Gosh, that's where I think they're going to end up, right at 9. I think they're going to be 9-3 this year. So I don't know.
9-3 or 10-2.
Yeah,
one or the other.
Right.
Missouri 7.
Woo. They play in the East. I'll take over.
I like the over with the Tigers too. The Kentucky Wildcats at 7.
I think that's where they end up, 7-5. Right there.
I think they win more than 7.
You got them
Tennessee,
over 7?
Yeah, Tennessee at 6.
Well, they got 1 already, so they only need 5 more. 6-6 sounds pretty good to me, but that's a tough one, man. You got to throw some halves in there if you want action on these teams. If I'm
I'm just going by what I'm reading here. I don't make this stuff up.
I don't know. I'm going to say that.
I'm going under 6.
You're going under, okay.
And the Gamecocks at 3.5 wins.
Oh boy, South Carolina. Well, 3.5. That means they would get 4. It's hard to take under 3.5, but I think they're awful, so I'll take under 3.5.
I like them to. They're going to win their cupcake games, and then they got to beat like Vanderbilt or somebody.
Okay,
so
you're right.
I like the over
3.5. Okay,
and
I think they go 4-7. 4-8.
And the Commodes come in at 3 wins.
Under.
I agree. Under.
Vandy under 3 wins. Oh my God,
no doubt.
That's a 2-10 team. Have fun, Vandy. But hey, guess what they get? They get all the money that the SEC pays them, and then next year, or whenever Texas and Oklahoma, well, in 2025, they're going to get about $90 million. So good for Vandy. So I got, we're pretty close on all those. You've got under Ole Miss. I've got over that.
I didn't say under Ole Miss. I need to look at their schedule, and I don't have it in front of me. So bad.
Well, 7.5. So question is, are they winning 8? Just say it. Are they going to win 8 games?
That means they go 8-4.
Yeah, 8-4.
So if they lose, I got them losing to A&M, LSU, and.
Well, what about Louisville on Monday night? They're going to win that game.
They're going to win. It's going to be close though. It's going to be a track meet because Louisville's got a very good coach. All right.
Well, I got them winning over 7.5. I just think they are. They're going to play Tennessee from the East, and they're also going to play Vanderbilt from the East. So there could be 2 wins.
Okay, that's 2 wins.
Right. And then they play everybody in the West. You know who that is. They're going to have to play Louisville and Liberty out of conference. So they could go 1-1 there, let's say. They have to play Tulane and Austin Peay out of conference. So, they could go 3-1. Yeah, over 7.5, baby. Come on. Let's go.
They played Tulane and Austin Peay this year.
They aren't Tootin. Right after Louisville, it's the Governors and then the Green Wave. Wow. And that they could be 3-0 going into the Alabama game with a week off beforehand. So, I think that's a sleeper only because of the quarterback. It's the only reason. If Corral gets hurt, Matt Corral, then forget about everything I said. But Matt Corral is good enough to get you on the board 40 points or more on just about every game they play, including Alabama. They did it last year. So why aren't they going to win 7.5? Absolutely. Give me the over.
Yeah. All right, JC, we enjoyed the games this weekend. We're going to take our first time out, come back with Dooley and see how many TVs Dooley has hooked up for the weekend. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Company. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Bass Pro Shop, Regal Cinemas, Lady Macaron French Pastries, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, and now open the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Make your reservations today at SpurriersGridironGrill.com. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by the one and the only Patrick Dooley. Good morning, Pat. How are you, my man?
Good. Stayed up late watching football last night, though, so a little weary.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, I'm trying to remember. You're now a retired journalist, kind of. You do a lot of stuff, though, Dooley. Let's not kid ourselves. Is this your first year, or was last year during COVID your first year of not covering the Gators for the Sun?
Well, Robbie and I did not cover the last two games.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we retired on December 1st, so they still had a couple of games to play. But this is my first full year of not covering the Gators since 77, something like that.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Will you go to the games now? Because a lot of people may not realize, you even being a graduate of Florida, you were never allowed to wear a Gator shirt or Gator hat into the press box. You couldn't cheer. You couldn't get up and do the Gator chomp when something. You couldn't do anything. So will Pat Dooley now actually walk into the swamp and sit and be hot as hell, watch a game, or are you going to be one of those guys that stays home and watches on TV?
Saturday, I am staying home. I can promise you that. But a lot of it is circumstances. I mean, the fact that it's Georgia Clemson at the exact same time, the fact that LSU and UCLA are playing a half hour later, I want to watch those games. I'll have the Florida game on. Alabama will probably be another story. It is weird, though, when I have been to a couple of basketball games and a couple of baseball games just as a fan, and I it's just not in me to get up and go whoop-de-doo, but I did heckle a umpire at one of the games, so I guess I am back to being a fan.
You're a fan now. All right, Dooley, let's talk about the Gators real quick, and then we'll talk about upcoming games this weekend and last night's games. You've been talking about, just like I have, you're probably exhausted talking about it because you talk about it every day with Cardozo and y'all show. What do you expect from this team tomorrow night?
Well, that's the thing is I think like a lot of teams in this conference, we're kind of waiting to see what they've got. We know what they might have. I've said this on the air. I'm going to say it again today on my podcast, and I probably quit saying it Saturday, but I like their roster a lot. The 1 through 88 that they have on the team because they have some super seniors. But they don't have the star. There's not a Trask, Pitts, Tony type guy. Doesn't mean they can't have that. We'll have to see. Can Jacob Copeland do that? Can he take that next step? Does it end up being DeMarcus Bowman, who's, they can only put in for so many plays because he doesn't know the whole offense yet because he was, out for a lot of the spring. And we'll see if he can become that guy. That's what they don't have. They lack the star power, but I still like their roster. I've said this on the radio yesterday. I think it was radio. And I'm going to say it again today. I think this is the best 1 through 85 roster they've had since 2009. The next year was the year after Tebow, and I think the roster started to diminish just a little bit. And of course, it got really bad there. The McElwain team that he inherited, and they were hiring guys off of FedEx trucks to block for them. I mean, they were terrible. That wasn't a good roster at all. I just don't think the roster's been at this level. Now they got to play together and make it work.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think. Now there's still some McElwain guys on this roster, right?
17. There might be one. Yeah, it could be one.
It's like Damian Pierce. Is he a McElwain guy?
He might be. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. His last class would have been the 17 class. So, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah,
so there's a few. Yeah, so that's interesting you say that. I haven't really thought about the strength of the top to bottom. What do you make of – I mean, we could have a bunch of dudes, especially on defense, offense as well, all these transfers that we've been bringing in. I think that's the way of the world now.
It is, and it's funny because FAU has a ton of transfers too. Dakota C. Perry, their starting quarterback, obviously played at Miami. He's from Ocala. Johnny Ford, who's a USF, little scat back for them, is going to be somebody Florida's got to watch out. Densmore, the wide receiver from Penn State. I don't know if anybody stayed to play wide receiver at Penn State. It seems like they all transferred somewhere. You watch UCF last night; they're full of transfer portals. The team that Florida is going to play next week, USF, is full of guys from the transfer portal. It is what it is. And in fact, some of these teams, the lesser teams, very late in the process, were able to add guys on the transfer portal because those kids looked around and went, wait, nobody wants me? What? Come on. So they ended up going to a USF or teams like that. It is you said it right, Shane. It is the way of the world, and you either evolve or you get run over in the way we're dealing with NIL. I mean, Florida made a big announcement about NIL yesterday with the transfer portal, as well. So you've got to do this. It's the way you have to recruit in 2021 and going forward. Is you're able to and it's funny, Shane. Men's basketball has been way ahead of the pace on this. They've been bringing in guys left. I mean, we go back to Dorian Finney-Smith and Mike Rosario, guys like that were transfer guys. Dan Werner was a transfer guy, and they did that more then, and they kind of got that started first. And the Billy philosophy was, look, if they come here, they know this is their last chance.
Yeah, that's true. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking of Pat Dooley here on the Titanmore Hotline. All right, Pat, you mentioned a few minutes ago when you were talking about the Gator roster, there's not really that star power, that name. Trask is gone, Pitts is gone. it's kind of that way in the entire conference this year when you think about it. You know, I guess the big name is it Matt Corral. I mean, I think he'll end up being the player of the year. But as many years as you've been covering the league, there's really no star power in the Southeastern Conference right now.
Well, Georgia fans will tell you different. Now they think
JT Daniels played 4 games.
He invented sliced bread. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's funny because we all look at the quarterbacks, and that's the big thing. And last year was a golden year for quarterbacks. In fact, the last 2 really have been when you've seen all the quarterbacks go on to the NFL. And, you know, I mean, now what the Alabama is going to have 3 NFL starting quarterbacks. Think about that coming out the last 2 years. So, you know, so yeah, but we discover the stars as the season goes along. You know, will Mechie be a star at Alabama? Is somebody like a Jacob Copeland going to step up? You know, who is it going to be at Georgia? You know, is it going to be one of the running backs, or is it going to be a receiver with Pickens out and tight end out? You know, so we'll have to wait and see on that. How, you know, who that will be. And then Texas A&M is Haynes King. Is he going to be? But that's the other thing. We have, when you went through the lineup, I know that earlier in the year, I was doing a book of lists for Gators Wire, and I was trying to do the quarterbacks in order, and I got past number 2, and I was like, or number 3, and I'm like, I don't know who the next one is. I mean, I know Corral. I'll throw Bryce Young in there, JT Daniels, and now what? And with Emory Jones, who we still have no idea what he's going to be like this year. And then you kind of keep going through, and now South Carolina brought a guy off the coaching staff to be their quarterback. So, you know, it is what it is up there.
Yeah. Let's get to this day in sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring. Great culture and opportunity for growth. $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. Pat, I bet you remember this very well. This day in 1994, Florida's Terry Dean tosses an NCAA record 7 touchdown passes in the first half as the Gators roll New Mexico State 70-21.
I do remember that. That was the most points Spurrier ever scored, right? 70?
70, I think so, yeah. But, you know, what's interesting is that you think about that, 1994, I think people forget how much Terry played that year with Danny on the roster.
Well, that was his team. In fact, I remember we found out from Associated Press Florida was going to be number 1. They said, don't let anybody else know. And, of course, forget it. We know now that we know, we're going to go talk to people. The first guy I talked to was Terry Dean about it because it was his team at that point. And, you know, so he was the starting quarterback, and he played really well for a while. And then Steve didn't like the way some things were going, and he brought him aside before that Auburn game and said, if you don't get it done today, we're going to pull you, which is, I don't think it's the right thing to do to a quarterback. And their relationship was a little love-hate there, as you know. And so as a result, Terry went out and didn't play very well, and they brought Danny in, and the rest was history.
Yeah.
And Terry, after that game, we had open locker rooms, and I went right line right for his locker room, and he let it out. He was not happy.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about last night's games, Pat. I know you probably had 2 or 3 TVs going. Did you see any of South Florida?
I did. I watched a little bit, mainly because that Central Florida game had that rain delay or weather delay. Right. They're pretty bad.
How can they be that bad?
It is amazing, really. They just couldn't generate anything on offense, and it felt like NC State could name their score if they wanted to, whatever they wanted the score to be. You know, they just didn't look good. I thought they would have gotten some guys out of the transfer portal that would help them, but it didn't seem like they did. I was a little surprised with, you know, I knew they were bad last year, and you expect that with a first-year coach with Jeff Scott, but I thought this year you would see some improvement. You certainly didn't in that first game.
No, they look really bad. What did you think about Tennessee? I told JC I watched, Tennessee off and on. I'm really surprised that Josh Heupel went with Joe Milton at quarterback because I just don't think he's a good enough thrower in that offense to be successful. And I mean, he was under 50% last night, I think, in his completion percentage. And I don't think he can play. He couldn't play at Michigan. I don't think he can play at Tennessee. What did you think about the Vols?
It's amazing to watch him play quarterback because he drops back and his feet don't move, and he plants, and there was no pass rush because this was literally one of the worst teams in college football last year. They were 0-5, and all their losses were blowout losses. I did some research on them. I couldn't believe how bad they gave up 667 to Kent State last year. So, but they couldn't get any pressure, and he would just sit and wait, and he would stare down receivers. So I learned nothing from Joe Milton last night. I know what he can do against a terrible defense, and that's not the kind of defenses he's going to be facing the rest of the way. I'm sure it gave Tennessee fans a little shot in the arm. We got offense now. We got a quarterback now. Well, we'll see when the real games come.
Well, I don't think he can play a lick. And like
he
you
definitely
said,
couldn't last year. You're right.
Yeah, and Bowling Green is horrible.
Awful.
Okay, I fell asleep at halftime of the UCF game. Did you stay up and watch the entire thing?
No, I stayed up a while, and then I got to a point where I could kind of feel the UCF was going to win. And I said, I'm going to go to bed. And I got up in the middle of the night and checked the score, though. But, I give them credit. I mean, they're down 21-0. I give them a lot of credit. I mean, sometimes teams deal with a 3-hour weather delay differently than others do. And certainly that Central Florida team probably didn't deal with it very well. And they get down 21-0. And then I thought the touchdown at the end of the half was huge for them. It was kind of reminded me of that touchdown that Florida scored in '95 in the Tennessee game, where they're down 30 to 14, and they score right at the end of the half, and then blow them out in the second half. It was kind of like that. And the other thing was that Boise couldn't get the offense going again in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Jeff says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, we beat Kentucky in 1994, 73-7.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that 73-7 game, and that was before they had Tim Couch running the offense.
Was Bill Curry the coach there then?
I think he was. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why they scored 73.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know how that.
He might have been the coach there.
Yeah, we all know that story. What did you think about Ohio State last night?
Well, found a way to win on the road in a tough environment, and that's what championship teams do. That strip tackle run back on a pass was a huge play in that game. It turned all the momentum one way. I think Ibrahim going out also hurt. I think he's probably done for the year. It looked like he popped his Achilles. That really hurt Minnesota. But it was a fun game to watch. I mean, I did not expect that kind of offense from the two teams. And Ohio State's something to be reckoned with. I mean, I thought the poise showed by their quarterback, Stroud, was excellent. I mean, he didn't wow you, but I did like the way he stood in the pocket and didn't force things and allowed them to get back in the game when they fell behind and then take over. And obviously they got great running backs, probably the best running backs in the country, I think.
Yeah, he's got so many talented skill guys. He just needs to get the ball in the hands.
Olave's really good. That wide receiver.
Really, really good. Before we let you go, Pat, I want to get your thoughts on a couple of big games this weekend. Obviously, the biggest game of the week is Georgia Clemson. How do you see that playing out?
I got the Dogs, I'm not sold on Clemson yet. Obviously the quarterback Ui Angalalele, I think. Oh man,
pretty good.
So anyway, he's good, but I mean, I got to see him like with his team. It's one thing to be, and this, Shane. It's one thing to be the quarterback who takes over for a guy while he's out, but he's coming back, and it's another thing to be. This is your team. You're the quarterback. You're the guy going into this season. You're the one doing commercials for Dr. Pepper. It's your team. So I'm curious to see how he plays, and I'm curious to see if Georgia's defense can do something special against a Clemson offensive line. I think it's going to be a fast. That's why I'm staying home, is to watch that game. I'm too much of a college football geek to miss that game completely if I don't have to. So I'll have the Florida FAU game on the second TV. But I just think Georgia will find a way to win this game, and I don't know. I'll be rooting for Clemson. I think it's a rule.
Yeah.
You have to.
Absolutely. It should be an entertaining game. The other big one on Saturday night is LSU, with all their issues, adversity. You're traveling across the country to play UCLA. I just think LSU is going to take them out behind the woodshed. I don't think the quarterback from UCLA can beat LSU. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I got this line right through my thing. I'm trying to get it out. Well, I do think the issues are going to be a problem. I mean, they had a 7-hour bus ride just to get to Houston, and what they're dealing with. Now, sometimes that can galvanize the team, where you get together, you're in the same dorm room or hotel room in this case. All you have is yourselves, and it can kind of bring a team together. And it might in this case. The problem I think I have with picking this game is that UCLA, yeah, they looked good last week. Hawaii's another awful team. We're talking a lot about awful teams today, and I'm not sure that UCLA, which was supposed to be better, they have a dynamic quarterback, is really going to be that good a team. And LSU, all the experts will tell you, is a great team. So, look, by now they're settled down probably in somewhere out there in the West Coast and ready to just have a regular walkthrough today and go play the game. And once the game starts, you would hope that it doesn't get to you. But sometimes the fatigue of what you've been through can be a problem.
Yeah, we shall see. And hopefully UCLA will have more than 5,000 fans at this game. Hopefully they will. So
there'll be 5,000 LSU fans out there, so at least it'll look like there are more people there.
Yeah. Pat, enjoy the weekend. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Sit back, relax, and college football's here, my man.
All right, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's Pat Dooley. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Going to take our final time out of this Friday edition. Come back and wrap it up. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Company. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but they still put business first. Understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank JC and Pat Dooley for joining us on the program today. Football's here, folks. Enjoy the Gator game this weekend and all the other college football games across the country. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Rap Spot. Be safe. See you on Monday.